Topic of the video is rank and rent. Okay, so I want it to be as in-depth as possible for someone who has never heard of rank and rent before. Let's start with the basics. What is rank and rent?
So the rank and rent model is where you get a website, you optimize it to rank high in Bing, in Google, generating traffic, which hopefully then is generating inquiries. And then what you then start to do is a real business would want those inquiries, like from a lead generation standpoint. And then sometimes they might not want to be paying per inquiry or per lead, but they're happy to rent out the whole site. They can put their details on the site, on the About Us page, in the contact form, so that when people are filling in that website, they know actually who's going to be contacting them as well. So there's like a message match between who's going to be contacting them and where they filled the site on. They rent out it's almost like renting out a house, so renting out a real estate, but this is digital real estate. So some people that do rank and rent, they call themselves a digital landlord.
Would you consider yourself a digital landlord?
Yeah, I mean, that's one part of many different things. We do a lot of affiliate marketing, we do a lot of lead generation, but yeah, we own over 1,000 ranking websites. So we rent out the digital real estate. So for that reason, yes, we are a digital landlord.
So these are 1,000 rank and rents?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
All right. So definitely the right person to be talking to about this topic. So how would you choose the right niche for a rank and, or is there a niche that is specifically golden for this type of business
So
model?
the first thing I would do with regards to choosing a niche for rank and rent websites is try and think of something where if you're a head teacher at a school or a college or a university, or you own a house and some work that you might need to be done, or if just think of when you're driving to work and you look at vans that are driving past and just look at, people always want to have their carpet cleaned. People will always want to have a new roof at some point. People will always want windows being cleaned. People will always want a locksmith if they're locked out of their house or locked out of the car. So you're trying to think of niches that's evergreen, not products that can come and go and come and go. Products that are evergreen that are going to be always searched all year round, or for many years to come. You're always going to need a plumber, you're always going to need an electrician, you're always going to need a roofer. So think of those industries, and then from there then, once you start with the broad term of, let's say, plumbing, start digging a little bit deeper and going further into the niche and trying to find like specific services that the business owner could say, we make a lot of profit on this. And some of the ones that the business owners make a lot of profit on, sometimes a long tail, easy to rank for keywords. And they're actually easier to rank for and make more money than just the primary term of plumbing.
Right. So you would recommend to niche down.
Yes.
Start out by just niching down as far as you can with a profitable term.
Yeah.
So you think an exact match domain.
So when we say niche down, I would actually probably start by going relatively broad of saying plumbing.
Okay.
Finding a lot of plumbers, giving them the leads, knowing that we might not be generating them the most profitable leads yet, but you're only giving it them for free. And then from there, then once you're providing them with the leads and they pay you on a back end, at some point they will start to tell you, if you could just generate me some more leads doing wet rooms or doing more leads doing boilers or boiler repair, they'll tell you where they make the most of their profit. And then from there, then yes, that's when then you niche down with a winning client that's happy to rent the site out, that's paying you some money. And then at that point, you can build them exact match domains, partial match domains, and go very, very specific for the services that, like you said, they make the most profit on.
So is the process to first rank like a generic website in the area and then further niche down into
exactly that
wherever you find
so
the profit?
we build one site, which might be like you say, we're going down the road of plumbing. So you build one big site for plumbing that goes after every possible different subcategory and category and blog post and stuff like that. From there then, you then start and you go in as wide as you can. You get Google Search Console set up, and then you start finding certain terms that you probably never even heard of, that you're going, what even is this? And it could be like in plumbing, let's say, people have hot taps, so instant hot water for a cup of teas and coffees. So the instant hot water taps, you might start realising there's a certain brand of hot water tap that gets a lot of search volume with installation. So it could be hot water tap installation, Manchester.co.uk, as deep as that, and there could be thousands of people wanting that, and then they're going in, they have to drill a bit of a hole in the sink, put a bit of a heating system underneath the sink, and now you've installed a hot water tap, they make about £800 profit, they'll pay you £200 profit. If you get 5 of them converted a month, that's £1,000 a month. For a very small niche exact match domain, £1,000 a month, you might only need to spend £4,000 or £5,000 on ranking that site. So within 5 months, you've got all of your investment you put into it back, and now you're earning passive income of £1,000 a month.
Okay, and so question of how much would you charge? So we've created that website, we've ranked it, we're starting to get leads. How much do you charge for lead? Obviously, you need to know more or less how much margin they have and what it costs.
When we first start on the broad site of plumbing, and we're sending those out to multiple different customers, they dictate to us what that is worth to them. And they'll start to say, I owe you £600, I owe you £800, I owe you $2,000. Whatever it is that they start to pay, you start to, because you're dealing with lots of different customers, you're comparing these contractors against each other to see, okay, if all of them are saying £100, £50, £100, you know it's not a very profitable market. But generally, if one of them comes to you and starts paying you £800 and some of them are only paying £100, the ones that are only paying £100, you switch off. You then start thinking, why was they paying more? What do they want more of? And every niche is very different. So you can't just say, let's charge it out at £500 a month, because some might only be worth £50, £100 a month, but some could be worth £30,000 a month. Now, we've got certain clients with keyword difficulty of less than 5 in Ahrefs that pay £30,000 a month rental for websites. And the keywords you go after are much easier than affiliate-based terms, e-commerce-based terms, but you have to find those, and you won't find them keywords or know that they're very profitable unless your sales team is speaking to the business owners. So it is not, if you're an introvert and you don't like speaking to customers or you don't have a sales team, I don't think Rank and Rent is the good model for you. Mainly because obviously you'll prefer like the display ads or the affiliate type ones, because you don't need to deal with a customer, you just send it through to their product and you get paid a commission. This is very hands-on from a sales point of view in trying to get that information out of the business owner's head. And sometimes we've dealt with certain customers for 4 or 5 years, and only 4 or 5 years down the line, then they come up with an idea that you go, why didn't you tell me that 4 years ago? And you went, I just thought you knew. And was like, no. Now, obviously, we've got now some that we've been dealing with for 13, 14 years. And now I feel like I've absorbed every little bit of information out of them. When we've been working with them for so long, not only does it work really, really well for them, us generating leads for them, we also then at that point start to help their website out, because if we can help their brand have a better online presence with regards to brand reputation management, the conversion rate is a lot better for them. So we want to then start making certain any jobs that they get, they're doing reviews, the reviews that they're getting is being put online, whether that's on Trustpilot, on Google My Business and stuff like that. So yeah, that side works really well as well, because we want them to obviously convert better. It makes our leads look better if they're converting better.
And so it also seems like this strategy is a lot more evergreen than a lot of just basic content sites.
Yeah.
Even with SGE, the local pack isn't going away. People are still going to be looking for local services. This is probably a business model that can continue working for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this isn't that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is some terms like how to remove red wine out of a carpet.
Of course, yeah.
Those type of terms might be replaced
yeah.
with SGE, which was getting clicks, which then basically says we can come as a professional carpet cleaner and come and remove the red wine, or you can also start tapping into Rank and Rent's, an affiliate platform. Not too many. We don't like doing too many pages on there, but if they're a carpet cleaning company and you say it's £600 to clean the carpet, and you say if you want to do it yourself, here's the best 5 carpet cleaners, you can actually sell products as well on the Rank and Rent site. So there is different avenues to how people can do stuff. You will lose slightly with SGE and AI coming along, some of the how-tos, but yes, local
searches, yeah.
If you think about it, how can AI replace someone wanting a plumber in London? even if AI lists all the places in London that are plumbers, it's still not making you inquire with, you need a plumber to come out to your site in London. And then from there then, yeah, I think local's here to stay.
Interesting. And last question here, but what about GMBs? So is there a strategy of creating a fake GMB, or is that not recommended?
So there's certain people, if you Google online, that can create your fake GMBs. I personally have got a large network. I've got a lot of passive income coming in. I don't want to risk it. It depends on people's risk tolerance with what they want to do. What starts to happen is if you do fake a GMB and then it needs re-verification and they're asking for like identification that you have got like electricity bills there and stuff like that. There's then some people then that are doctoring those electricity bills, but then it's just fraud. And for that reason, you can end up getting sent down and stuff like that. So I stay away from fake GMBs. We do GMBs, but they are real. So we deal with, you've got to remember, we are dealing with businesses. We don't try and cut corners. We're just an extension to their business as a marketing arm. So when we're dealing with these business owners and when we're dealing with these companies, when we say to them, can we use your address for a GMB? If they've already got one, then we might be able to change it slightly, saying, oh, this is this office or this department, so you can slightly change the address and put it under a different category, and that's fine to do. Or we say, well, why don't you just use your home address as being the GMB, and we can try and rank it in those areas. There is other techniques, like in the UK, where there's certain virtual offices or remote offices where you can actually rent an office and they will take the mail, but you are physically based there. So it's not like you're just getting a PO box and you're not based there and you're pretending that you're based there and you're trying to scam Google to pretend that you are there. I would say when you are renting these sites out, a business probably will be based in the location that you want to generate leads. Ask them how they can verify a postcard. If they do verify a postcard, you can then give them slightly discounted rates for renting out the GMB or doing lead generation for the GMB because they've helped you get that GMB in the first place. So that's kind of what we do to rank the GMB for local space. Obviously, you need verification. Citations working very well. Reviews, try and get real reviews. You can buy reviews, but again, you're buying them on, generally speaking, not aged accounts. Just try and just do what a real business does. Get the citations, which is business listings, reviews, create some posts, add some photos, just generic stuff like that. And then if you can get people, if you do have an address and someone ever is coming to their office's address, try to get members of staff to put in the driving directions on Google Maps if they're driving to the office, and those driving directions to that office also help ranking the GMB. And they can generate a lot of leads. I'd say 98% of our income comes from websites, not from the GMB market.
Okay. Brilliant. Anything else
Cheers.
you'd like to include?
The only last thing I'd probably say is, obviously, rank and rent is a hot topic. It's not as easy as what you think to get the clients. You need to firstly know how to SEO websites to get them ranking. To start with, it takes a lot longer than what you think. When you first outreach to a customer, and you try and give, it's hard even giving away the leads for free. Never mind trying to sell them leads or try and rent the website out to start with.
Yeah,
you need to build.
They don't trust you, or what is it?
You need to build that trust and relationship with them. So they don't know what type of leads that you're generating. You're saying it's carpet cleaning, but a lot of people that do carpet cleaning might only deal with commercial properties like offices and hotels. So if you're going generating carpet cleaning leads for cleaning, can I clean this 2 meters by 2 meters rug? They're going to be like, it's not really worth us driving out to clean that rug. But if you go and get a hotel that might have 150 rooms and it's a big job, that's what they might want. So they might not see what type of leads that you're generating. So to start with, start sending them the leads and get paid on the back end. Sometimes you can move to a pay-per-lead lead generation model, and then it's only at the end you can move to a rank and rent where both parties, me as a digital landlord and you as a customer, we amicably agree a rate, £2,000, £5,000, £10,000, whatever that fee is, that they're happy to pay because they are making a guaranteed return on investment. And I don't think there's many people in the industry that can guarantee a return on investment. We can. And for that reason, when you do get into it, we've got all of our customers are happy, because if they're not happy and making money on their £2,000 a month, we can lower that rental until they're making profit. We want our customers to make profit, and we can guarantee that they make profit. So if they don't, those sites can start lowering down, because we obviously are not generating them either, one, enough leads, or two, the wrong type and not quality leads. We've then got to improve, strategize, innovate, try to make certain that we are generating them a consistent flow of quality inquiries that's going into their inbox for them then to make money. They're happy. Then what starts to happen is, when you've got a lot of happy customers, you've got a lot of happy staff, because every conversation is a positive conversation. Your staff then love what they're doing. They want to grow out more. They're happy to go the extra mile in wanting to grow. And then obviously with the delegation of the team, they're as motivated as what you are, because they're dealing with happy customers.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks for such a